Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got something very special planned. I am going for royal afternoon tea at the Rubens Hotel over here. And the reason why this is royal afternoon tea is because I'm on Buckingham Palace Road. And in fact, if I turn the camera around, this is the back of Buckingham Palace. This is actually the stables, the Mews, where all of the horses and the carriages that are used for all the ceremonies are held. So let's head inside the Rubens Hotel and see what the royal afternoon tea is like. So here we are inside the palace in the Rubens Hotel. I have to say this place is very opulent, very posh, very upmarket. I can see Buckingham Palace out of the window, but I got a seat that wasn't in the window because not great for lighting, so this is actually better for filming. And we've just been through the menu, which is here, with the maitre d', who's very good, really well educated on all of the different things. And so we'll start off with the tea menu. There are about 20 different types of tea here. Far too many to go through. We've got a really big write-up and there are lots of details on all of the different teas. So yeah, you could spend probably half an hour reading that. Probably not going to do that. Tea's tea. Although I say tea's tea. So these teas are all included. You can have as many as you like. But there is a special tea here that he's just told us about called the Golden Curl, which apparently all these teas are from Sri Lanka because they want to help Sri Lankan tea farmers. And there's one particular type of tea that only grows at the top of a mountain. It takes 6 years to grow the tea. And if you want that tea, it is an additional £500. £500 for tea, and there's no food involved in that. You do get a bottle of champagne included, which I would hope so for £500 anyway. Won't be having that today, so don't worry about that. I'm just going to have some of the included teas. So we've got that, and then we've got the food menu as well, which we'll go through when they arrive, but it's the traditional. We're going to get some sandwiches as the starting point, and then there will be the focal point, which is the scones, always the winner. That is the acid test as to how good this place is. And then we're going to have the pastries, the cakes, which I think here are quite special. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how good the royal afternoon tea is here at the Rubens. The food has now arrived. In fact, everything has arrived. We've got the tea, the food has all come in one go, and interestingly, it's the cameraman's birthday today, and they've given us a free glass of champagne. Now, this is Lanson Black Label. On the menu, £22 for that glass, so cameraman should enjoy that one. Now, in terms of all of the different food that we've got, I should bring that out of the way. Start with the sandwiches, so just have a look at that. So they come like this, a slightly interesting presentation compared to usual. Normally you have them all finger sandwiches in a row on a platter, but they come on a sort of plate here. We've got 5 different types, so I will just run through them quickly because I've got the menu to hand. So we've got pork and stuffing with apple sauce, which is this one. Smoked salmon and cream cheese chive on an caper seed loaf. That's like a sort of rye bread. Got egg mayonnaise, which is this one, which is on Norfolk crunch bread. Chicken with mustard mayonnaise and toasted almonds, and then Barber's cheddar cheese and plum tomato. So let's get started on those sandwiches. So I will, what shall I start with? Well, I'll start with the pork and stuffing. So it's a big old sandwich. I mean, compared to a lot of the places, that is a big chunk of sandwich. Normally you'd be about half the size of that, so good portion size here. Ooh. And the maitre d' said that we can get unlimited refills of everything, so we can double down on all of this if we want to. That's good. That's a good pork and stuffing sandwich. If you like pork and stuffing, which I do, that's good. Pretty thick, quite substantial, quite filling. There's a lot of food here. So far, pretty good. What should I go for next? I'll go for this chicken one because it's on the top, and so I can remove it then. So, chicken with mustard mayonnaise, and then it's got lots of almonds on the outside. This sort of crunchy outer layer to it, which is quite unusual. Obviously, it's round, which is also quite unusual. That's really nice. Again, quite filling though, quite a substantial sandwich. Normally it's cucumber sandwiches and it's like not very much of it. This is quite a hearty meal, so I'm feeling a bit full. I've only had 2 bites of 2 sandwiches. Let's have a go at the egg mayonnaise, which is a classic for afternoon tea. Not so much classic in terms of this bread, it's Norfolk crunch bread, I think it said, so it's sort of like a darker wholemeal, quite unusual. That's okay. I'm not a massive fan of egg mayonnaise. That's all right. As egg mayonnaise goes, decent. Right, let's try this smoked salmon one, which is on this very unusual. Now this is really heavy. This is probably twice the weight of these other sandwiches. It's quite solid, this bread. It's like a rye bread, if you know what a rye bread's like. It's got quite a lot of salmon in it with some cream cheese. Let's see what it's like. Wow. The bread's really sweet. It's almost like a fruit loaf. You can't really taste it. It really offsets the fishiness of the salmon. That's really tasty, actually. I'm not usually a big fan of the salmon sandwiches, which is a traditional afternoon tea ingredient, but that's a really interesting twist that they put onto it. I like that. That's really nice. Yeah, my compliments to the chef on that one. Okay. Finish off with the cheese and tomato. The cheese has been grated, keeps it nice and simple, makes it a bit messier though, just on a standard white bread. I like a good cheese and tomato sandwich. That's one of my sandwiches of choice if I'm making my own sandwiches. Yeah, it's good. So, sandwich selection. I'd say the presentation wasn't the best. That's sort of like the type of presentation that I would do if I was doing some sandwiches for somebody who popped around for the afternoon. But in terms of the actual sandwiches themselves, tasty, big, really good filling, quite impressive in terms of the flavour and the taste. They could just improve it a little bit, I think, on the presentation. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with these. The cameraman's going to have these ones, and I'll see you again in a moment for the scones and a little bit. Oh, I'll have a little bit of tea just before I go, because this is Prince Royal tea. So obviously we're here at the palace, right opposite to Buckingham Palace, and they've got some royal tea. So yeah, that's nice. Feels appropriate for the royals. Cheers, I will see you again in a moment for the scones. So the sandwiches are now done, and it's time to move on to the main event of any afternoon tea, the scones. And the good thing here is that you get a fruit scone, which is my personal favourite, and a normal scone, so non-fruit. Now, first thing to say about these scones, they're a bit messy. They look like the sort of scones that I might have made. They're a bit, they're non-uniform. You look at the 4 scones here. They're all different shapes and sizes, and I'm not sure they would be allowed at the Ritz, but anyway, doesn't matter. It's what they taste about, which is the main thing. Now, in terms of, I thought I'd just give a little bit of history before I dive into these scones. We'll just talk about Buckingham Palace, which is right there. I can see it through the window. Now, Buckingham Palace didn't actually start off as a royal palace. It was built in 1701 by the Duke of Buckingham. That's why it was called Buckingham Palace. Well, it was actually called Buckingham House when he first built it for his wife. And then it was acquired by George III, who was the King of England. He bought it in 1761, so it became a royal residency at that time, but just one of the many houses that the royals used at that point. Now, George III was an interesting king because he had 3 sons, and he was the one who was in the Madness of King George, if you've ever seen that movie, where he got some sort of mental health problems later in his reign and had to be replaced. But when he died, he was replaced by his his son George IV. There was the tradition at the time, you called your eldest son your name and they followed in. So he was George IV. Now he reigned for about 10 years, didn't have any legitimate children, apparently had lots of illegitimate children, didn't have any legitimate. So when he died, it then passed to his brother, who was called William IV. And so he then reigned for a while, and then he died. He didn't have any legitimate children either, so he couldn't pass it on. So it would have gone to his youngest brother, Edward, but Edward had already died at that point. So it went to his niece, who was called Victoria, who became Victoria I and obviously reigned for a very long time. And when she took over the throne in 1837, she made Buckingham House, as it was, Buckingham Palace, and it became the official royal residency. So that's the history of Buckingham Palace, which is just next door. That's now where all the royals live. That's where King Charles III lives. So he'll be having his afternoon scone now, so I'll have mine. So I'll start off with the plain one, because the plain's a bit more boring. Now, I've got the cream, the clotted creams here, get a decent amount of it. Got two different options on the fruit side. Got the standard strawberry jam, which you get everywhere, and interestingly, got some lemon curd. Never had lemon curd for afternoon tea before. So for this one, I'm going to do the jam. Now this jam looks quite solid, so I like it a bit runnier than that. It's got quite a lot of gelatin in it, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt. So a bit of jam on first, and then, oh, the cream's nice and soft. That sort of room temperature butter sort of consistency, so that makes it very easy to spread like that. So looks pretty good. Now, the maitre d' here said that these scones were some of the best in London. I have to say that's pretty good scone. That is good. It's got good consistency. It's solid enough that it's not breaking and crumbling, because I hate it when you get the crumbly ones where you put the cream on and it falls apart. But it's not too dense, because sometimes you get them and they're too solid and it's just like a thick biscuit. That is quite soft, quite delightful. Yeah, like that. I think he's not far off it, saying it's one of the best in London. Let's see what the fruit one's like. I'm going to go with the lemon curd, which is a bit of a curveball. Lemon curd, afternoon tea. Did they have lemon curd back in the days when afternoon tea was invented? I don't know. Who cares? I like lemon curd. Okay, let's get a bit of cream on the lemon. Lemon curd for afternoon tea. Yeah, I like it. It's a winner. Yeah, it's a good one. So, scones are good. They look a bit weird, but they taste good. They work well. They hold up everything pretty well. The jam's decent. The lemon curd's a really nice twist. The cream is really good. So overall, I think the scones are a winner here. So I'm going to crack on, finish this. I'll see you for the cakes. Right, it is now time for the cakes. So here we have them. This is the selection of cakes. I will go through it with the menu because it's too difficult to remember what any of these things are. But another thing I would say in terms of the presentation, still could be improved. I think it looks a bit clumpy. They're all just packed together on the plate. It's like kids' tea party where you've been to the buffet and you just loaded up all your cakes. So could do a bit better with this. The plates are nicer, but could do better with the presentation. Helps you've got the menu the right way round. Okay, 4 different things here. We'll start off with this one, which I think looks the least exciting to me. And this is a roasted plum frangipan cheesecake. So it's plum cheesecake with almond frangipan. So we've got the frangipan at the bottom, and then we've got plum cheesecake on the top. So it's sort of like 2 desserts in one. Quite heavy, quite thick, the frangipan. Let's see what it tastes like. You can see it's got a bit of gold leaf on the top, so always very posh, bit of gold leaf. Not quite sure what gold is meant to taste like, but let's find out. That's actually quite a nice little dessert. So the pastry is really crisp and got a nice crunch to it. And the frangipan, just a little bit in the bottom, but lifts the flavour, gives it a bit more moisture. And then the cheesecake, the plum cheesecake on the top, good cheesecake, tastes decent. So quite a nice compilation that actually. It's like 2 desserts, but fun. I like it, so put that down. It's quite big, quite substantial. I'm going to save this one to the end. Let's go for this baby, which is a dark chocolate and blood orange. Is it dark chocolate and blood orange? Am I on the right page here? No, it's a blood orange creme choux. So it's a choux pastry, you can see on the bottom, with blood orange top on it, and it's got a little bit of sort of a crown at the top. So I was on the wrong page, I was on the vegan page, so you don't get this in the vegan one because it's obviously got cream in it. Wow. And see, that's where the dark chocolate is hiding, inside the choux pastry. Again, this is really massive. It's really big dessert. So on its own, it'd be quite filling, but I've got 4 things here. And that's quite tasty, actually. Dark chocolate's not too dark, not too overpowering. The pastry is a little bit soft. It's not quite as light as I would have liked, but I think obviously because it's got this blood orange coating on the top, it sort of soaks in a bit. Nice though, tasty, different, sort of orange and chocolate if you like that combination. Who doesn't? Okay, next one, I'm definitely on the right page now, is this one, which is called Rhubarb Victoria. So this is a Victorian sponge with opolis cremo and rhubarb jelly. So yeah, it's an interesting modern twist on a Victoria sponge. Victoria sponge is just a classic jam and cream cake in the UK. This is sort of a bit more upmarket version. So let's have a bite. I'll go for the mint leaf as well. Wow, that's really light. So surprisingly light because it's a really big piece of cake. But the sponge is really light and delicate. It's got sort of like an icing around the outside, which lifts it, gives it a bit of sweetness. Cream's really tasty. The jam the rhubarb jam actually does cut through all the cream. That's really good. It's a really nice little dessert, that. So I'll say these 3 desserts so far, really good. They're all massive, and this one is the biggest of all. And this one's got a crown on the top of it. So it is the apple and pecan Dacquoise crown. And when it was introduced to us by the waiter, he said the crown represents Buckingham Palace over the road. So we've got like a wafer, well, almost like a water biscuit at the bottom. And the details on this, it says pecan Dacquoise, caramel apple, mascarpone mousse. So this is going to be a lot of mascarpone, I think. It's quite chunky. Oh, well, there is a lot of mascarpone. And then hidden away inside there is the apple, the caramel apple. So again, hugely substantial, massive. It's tasty. But yeah, they're really big. All of these desserts are absolutely massive. So overall, I think they're good. The presentation isn't quite as good as it should be. I think it could be a bit more upmarket. I always say that a dessert gives you a good flavour as to the restaurant itself, how good or how nice the presentation is. Usually tells you if it's going to be really high end. I think the presentation here isn't quite what it should be, but the flavours are excellent, really tasty. And the quantity here is massive, absolutely huge, these desserts. So I'm going to plough through the rest of these, and I'll see you at the end for the wrap. Oh, just before I go for the wrap up, you can see that there are some more scones that have appeared here and some more jam and cream. So took advantage of the refill option, as for these scones, and obviously they'll be going in the doggy bag, and probably get a refill on these cakes as well. So let me have the rest of these cakes, see you at the end for the wrap up. Okay, so here we are with a lovely little surprise from the maitre d'. So it's the cameraman's birthday today, and they brought this fantastic little cake, as you can see here. Really nice, actually. It's quite big. When I say little cake, that's actually quite big. It's bigger than any of the desserts, and really nicely done. Really nice little happy birthday. Bit of fruit on the top, the candle. So I'll blow this out and make a wish. Let's wish for 1 million views for this video. And also brought another glass of champagne for the birthday, which, as I said earlier, £22. So really nice. So if you're coming here, I would suggest saying it was your birthday. Then it's worth it. It's definitely worth having a think about it. But anyway, we're going to crack into this, crack into that. See you again at the end for the wrap up. So here I am at the end of the meal, and as you can see, I've got a doggy bag, well, I've got a doggy box. It's quite a posh one, looks quite good, red carnation. So got some scones to take home, got some more cakes, got the birthday cake. So yeah, definitely if you're coming to any of these afternoon teas, always ask, are refills available? And every single one I've been to, they've said yes. and then get the refill. So, you know, ask for more scones, ask for more cakes, and then ask for a doggy box and take it home and give it to your friends, family, the dog, whoever you want. Don't give it to a dog. So adds a little bit more value to the meal. So what do I think of this meal? I'll go through the bill in a moment. Well, I think the quality of the food was okay. It was all right. It's not the best I've ever had, but it's not the worst for sure. So it was pretty decent. It was a little bit more rustic in terms of the presentation. So the plate that the sandwiches came on, I think, was a bit too small for the sandwiches. They were quite big, substantial sandwiches, and they didn't all fit onto it, so they had to put the chicken one on the top. So you had like 4 sets on the bottom and then the chicken ones on the top. I don't think that's the best presentation for that type of meal for an afternoon tea. I want to see my sandwiches all lined up neatly alongside each other on their own plate with their own space. So could do better on that. But the sandwiches themselves were tasty, good variety of flavours, a lot of it, so really quite filling. So the food itself was good, presentation a little bit lacking. The scones, similar sort of story really, that the scones don't look the most elegant. They're sort of a bit homemade looking, but they are very good scones. They work well with the jam, got a good consistency. You can spread things on there, nice flavour, light, tasty. So they work well. The jams themselves, the strawberry jam, really tasty. Lemon curd, really interesting twist, like that. And the cream is a really good consistency here. I like the cream. So big plus for that side of things. Scones, excellent, but could be presented a bit better. The cakes, it's a similar story. Too big, they were too substantial. I think 1 or 2 bites is what you're looking for from these sort of cakes. You've had a lot of food anyway. You just want something that looks great, tastes amazing, but not too much eating. These cakes, probably a bit too big, double the size that they should have been. They were nice though in themselves. So we had the fancy green one with the crown on it. A lot of mascarpone in that, a really lot of in there, so a lot of eating. The Victoria sponge one that had the icing on the outside, tasty rhubarb jam, really nice, too big. The cheesecake one, similar story, and then the frangipan cheesecake combination, which was like 2 cakes in one. So all really tasty, just a bit too big, and presentation-wise, not quite as good as they could have done. So, what was the bill? Well, normally, if you're coming here, if you're walking off the street and just ask for this afternoon tea, it's £70. That's the list price. However, I managed to get a deal, and this would be my recommendation to anybody coming to a place like this. If you're coming to the Rubens, have a look online, type it in. I went to afternoontea.com, which is a specialist website that does all afternoon tea offers, and got 25% off. So rather than paying £70, paid £52.50 per person. So quite a big saving. So what's the total bill? Because it's a bit more than that. So it's £52.50 for me and the cameraman, plus a service charge of 15%, which gets us a total of £120.75p. So that's quite a significant saving against the £70 would have been 140 plus 15% service charge, so that would have been another 21, so it would have been 161, so I've saved over £40. However, we also need to take into account that because it's the cameraman's birthday, we got 2 complimentary glasses of champagne, which was Lanson champagne. This is £22 each, so 2 glasses of this plus service charge would have been best part of £50. Plus we got a birthday cake as well, so quite a lot of extra value there thrown in, because these sort of places really like to treat you on your birthday. So I'll definitely say if you're coming for your birthday, tell them, and if you're coming and it's not your birthday, just tell them that anyway, because you never know, you might get something out of it. Certainly the afternoon teas I've been to, they tend to give you something, so it's worth having a go. So what's my overall score here for the Royal Afternoon Tea at the Rubens opposite Buckingham Palace? I think I'm going to give this one 7 out of 10. It's decent, it's nice, decent food, presentation not quite as good. The room itself is nice, but not quite as palatial as other ones I've been to. It's done more in a Victorian style. The lighting and the decor is of that era, which is nice, but it doesn't have really high ceilings. It's not as flash as some places that I've been to. So overall, I think 7 out of 10 is probably a fair score. I wouldn't rush back here. I think there's other afternoon teas that I'd prefer to investigate rather than coming back and having this one again. But hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you found it useful, informative and a bit of fun. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'll see you again on the next meal.